Coming up on AEA Amplified, learn the ins and outs on how NATA Compliance Services can help AEA members with their anti-drug and alcohol program management.
From the Aircraft Electronics Association, this is AEA Amplified, a podcast for aviation's technology experts, with your host, Jeff Hill.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of AEA Amplified, sponsored by Genesis Aerosystems, a mode company, and a leading provider of autopilots for rotor and fixed-wing aircraft. Genesis STEC 5000 is the latest digital autopilot, providing increased safety plus decreased pilot workload. And it's being certified for Part 23 and Part 25 retrofit aircraft, such as high-performance turboprop and turbine jet aircraft. To learn more about the STEC 5000, visit genesis-aerosystems.com. Hi again, everyone. I'm your host, Jeff Hill, for this November 10th, 2022 edition of AEA Amplified. And today we have some important information to share with AEA members and how NATA Compliance Services collaborates with the AEA to set up your anti-drug and alcohol misuse prevention program. And here to tell us all about it, we have Shirley Negri. She is the Chief Operating Officer for NATA Compliance Services. And we have Emily Vest Baranchia, the Senior Client Success Manager. So thank you so much to both of you for joining us. And let me start with Shirley. And can you just tell us a little bit about the relationship between NATA Compliance Services and the AEA?
Hi, Jeff. Thank you and AEA for this opportunity and privilege to spend some time with you on this podcast today. The relationship with AEA actually started long before NATA CS. Our current NATA CS CEO was the founder of the largest aviation contract maintenance company that he started in the early 1980s. And as vice president in the 90s, I oversaw the company's anti-drug and alcohol misuse prevention program for nearly 1,000 safety-sensitive aircraft technicians on various projects. So we already had a relationship with AEA, but not as a service provider. We had avionics technicians and aircraft electricians, along with A&Ps and others on our payroll. So in 2001, we founded NATA CS. My partners and I believed that we could take the operational experience we've gained over the many years in aircraft contract maintenance and provide essential regulatory services to the industry, allowing aviation businesses to focus on their core offerings. Around that period, there were some significant changes to the regulations pertaining to FAA and DOT drug and alcohol programs. So we met with the FAA to discuss our intent to become a third-party administrator. And after a few years into performing as a TPA, AEA reached out to us to see if we could assist AEA members in providing guidance, support, and possibly services to AEA members. When AEA's Vice President of Government and Industry Affairs, Rick Perry, gets an inquiry that is drug and alcohol program related, we are AEA's resource. Sometimes certain scenarios required policy clarification for the Drug Abatement Division. We reach out to the FAA and obtain clarifications as needed. That is what we do and how we work with AEA. So essentially, we partner with AEA to ensure that members have a support line to use when they have questions regarding drug and alcohol compliance. We're available to answer questions, provide best practices, and offer solutions, even if the AEA member is not utilizing NATA's TPA services.
And Shirley, how long has NATA Compliance Services been supporting the AEA membership?
NATA Compliance Services was founded over 2 decades ago to provide regulatory compliance services to small, medium, and large operators that must comply with FAA and DOT anti-drug and alcohol misuse prevention program. We also provide other regulatory services under other governing agencies, such as the Transportation Security Administration. A few years after we were officially servicing the industry as a TPA, we began supporting AEA in the capacity we still perform today. So this has been going on for about 20 years.
And Shirley, how exactly does NATA Compliance Services help the AEA members?
Well, we actually connect the AEA members with one of our subject matter experts. We call them SMEs. At NATA CS, we have a team of dedicated professionals that would have their specific regulatory or service focus, but are equipped to assist in other areas to ensure that we have redundancy in our support. So there are varying levels of expertise, and depending on the complexity of the topic, there are escalation channels. First, we ask the member, client, questions, and we listen to identify the need. Sometimes in the process, we provide clarity to what's required to comply, what can be done, and what options are available. We assist in preparing for drug and alcohol program audits, for example. We call them mock audits. We go down the list. This is an FAA published list, inspection items, and we work through it if the member or client is able to answer the questions and provide the information requested by the inspector. Whether the AEA member is managing their own drug and alcohol program or they're using a service provider, we ask the questions that assist them in knowing where to go to get the answers they need. Often in this process, the AEA member may choose to transition to NATA CS because of our record keeping, document management, technology tools, ongoing training, mock audits, and other value adds that we can bring.
And once again, we are visiting with Shirley Negri. She's the Chief Operating Officer for NATA Compliance Services, along with Emily Vest-Baranchia, the Senior Client Success Manager here on AEA Amplified, sponsored by Genesis Aerosystems and Moog Company. And Emily, let me get your perspective on this collaboration between the two associations. And can you tell us what might be the top 3 tips you could provide to AEA members regarding their anti-drug and alcohol misuse prevention program management?
Thank you so much, Jeff. So I look at the relationship between NATA CS and AEA as a partnership in safety. We truly appreciate the opportunity to connect with AEA members at conferences, speaking engagements, and through AEA publications. Providing education to AEA members ensures our industry remains safe and compliant. And the top 3 tips I would say are, number 1, use a third-party administrator that you can trust. Having someone that you can contact who understands the FAA and DOT regulations is going to bring you the peace of mind that you need. Violations can be costly and have even forced businesses to shut down, so make sure you're with a provider that you can rely on. Next, I would say use a new hire checklist. The new hire checklist is the best tool that you can provide to drug and alcohol program managers. It guides them through the onboarding process step by step, making sure nothing is missed, and provides a clean and concise document for your FAA DOT audits. And then lastly, take advantage of that audit preparation service that NATA CS provides to AEA members.
And Emily, I'm sure you've seen a lot through your experience there. Can you tell us maybe some of the violations that you've come across and how AEA members can avoid them?
So most of the violations that we see occur are all around the onboarding process of a safety sensitive employee. So that is why the new hire checklist is so important. When does an employee become eligible for hire, rehire, or transfer? The FAA really boils this all down to intent. If the employee is intended for a safety sensitive role, they cannot work for you in any capacity until you've received the verified negative pre-employment tests. Another huge area is around DOT background checks. Missing an employer on your drug and alcohol history checks or not responding to drug and alcohol history checks sent to your operation are both areas that cause major violations.
Emily, what kinds of tools are available to anti-drug and alcohol program managers?
So from the FAA and the DOT, you have tools available on their websites like the FAA Frequently Asked Questions. There you can search a term or a definition and find out the appropriate processes and procedures that you need to follow for those scenarios. Next, you have the DER awareness information, including the Doing Everything Right video series. This includes 5 short 5 to 10 minute videos that set up a drug and alcohol program manager from the get-go doing everything right. Then they also list suggested formats and forms for things. Then you have things out there like from third-party administrators like NATA CS. We host free webinars. These are our Webinar Wednesday series where we host topics such as anti-drug and alcohol program management, top 10 best practices for anti-drug and alcohol program managers, audit preparation, and MIS reporting. NATA CS clients gain access to even more tools and resources to aid in successful management of their anti-drug and alcohol program.
And Emily, I understand you have a promotion going on right now. Can you explain that to our AA members on what that is?
Whether you're setting up an anti-drug and alcohol misuse prevention program for the first time, or you're thinking about switching your third-party administrator, we're going to make that a little bit easier for you. So if you enroll in our anti-drug and alcohol program management services by December 31st, 2022, we're actually going to waive that $250 new account setup fee, giving you a seamless and costless transition to NATA CS.
Now, it's a great offer for AEA members. Try to take advantage of that by December the 31st. And Emily, tell us, how can AEA members get in contact with you?
So the best way for members to either contact myself or any other NATA CS team member would be to email us at info@natacs.aero or give us a call at 703-842-5317.
Well, Emily and Shirley, before we let you go, do you have any other advice maybe that you'd like to share with the AEA members? Emily, let's start with you.
First off, I want to thank you again for having us today. And the last little tidbit I'll leave you with is review your company policy. A company sets up their anti-drug and alcohol company policy when they're first established. However, as an operation grows, you might actually outgrow your policy. So please review your policy on a steady basis and make sure that it still makes sense for all of the individuals enrolled in your anti-drug and alcohol program.
And Jeff, I'd like to add as well that it may seem straightforward and obvious, but ensure you have redundancy on who's managing your drug and alcohol program. Have a backup plan. If you're a small operator, that can be challenging, so definitely ensure to use the resources and tools available to you. Give us a call if you have questions. If something doesn't make sense, give us a call. We're just a phone call away or an email away. Take advantage of the expertise and experience that we have available. Preparation is key. Go through a mock audit. Even if you're not coming up with an audit, go through a mock audit. Make it a routine check to see how prepared you would be for a drug and alcohol program compliance. Thank you, Jeff.
Well, thank you, Shirley and Emily, for joining us here on AEA Amplified. And for all of our listeners, you can learn more about NATA Compliance Services online. That website is natacs.aero. Again, that is natacs.aero. And let me also remind our listeners and our AEA members of some important items, and that is bring in the new year with training at the AEA's classroom in Lee Summit, Missouri. There are several in-person and virtual classes available. You can learn more about each of them and reserve your seat by going to aea.net/training. Also, our final AEA Connect conference of 2022 takes place in the Sunshine Coast, Australia, and that will be November 17th and the 18th. All AEA members located in the South Pacific region are encouraged to attend. Registration is online at aea.net/connect. And believe it or not, it's not too early to register for the 2023 AEA International Convention and Trade Show. And that's going to take place April 24th through the 27th in Orlando, Florida. If you register by December 31st, you can save $200 per person off the on-site registration fee with the early bird rate, and the links to register and make your hotel reservations are available at aea.net/convention. And finally, if your company is hiring, don't forget to post your career opportunities on the AEA jobs board at aea.net/jobs. Free resume posting is available for all of you job seekers, and there's lots of new employment opportunities posted that have gone out there just recently in the last few days. So check it all out at aea.net/jobs. And that is going to wrap it up for today. We hope you can join us again soon for another episode of AEA Amplified, sponsored by Genesis Aerosystems, a Moog company. To learn more about Genesis and its full range of products, visit genesis-aerosystems.com. Thanks again to Shirley Negri and Emily Vest-Baranchia with NATA Compliance Services for being our guests today. And until next time here on AEA Amplified, for our producer engineer Aaron Ward, this is your host Jeff Hill wishing you blue skies ahead wherever you may be.